Yesterday, Delhi passed a law, not a target, not a goal, not a recommendation, a law, effective July 1st, 2026. If you want to register a new auto rickshaw in Delhi from January next year, it must be electric. If you want to register a new two-wheeler in Delhi from April 2028, it must be electric. Two and three-wheelers make up 73% of every vehicle registered in this city. This is not a nudge. But here is what the press conference didn't mention. The last time Delhi made a promise like this, they hit half the target, then quietly let the policy expire. This is a forensic breakdown of what Delhi's EV mandate actually says, what the numbers actually show, and what happens in April 2028 if the infrastructure isn't ready. Before we dissect the policy, you need to understand what forced it into existence. Delhi's air is not a background statistic. Air pollution caused an estimated 17,188 deaths in Delhi in 2023 alone, nearly 15% of all deaths in the city. 1 in every 7 deaths. Poor air quality has irreversibly damaged the lungs of 2.2 million children in Delhi. Irreversibly. In November 2024, Delhi momentarily became the most polluted city on earth. AQI reading of 1200. The official scale caps at 500. Delhi's air broke the instrument. Vehicular emissions are the single largest contributor to Delhi's air pollution at 23%. Two and three-wheelers alone account for 46% of total vehicular pollution in the city. The mandate exists because the alternative has a body count. That is a foundation. Now let's look at what the policy actually does. To understand why today's mandate is structured the way it is, you have to understand what Delhi tried before. August 2020, Delhi launched its first EV policy, described at the time as the most progressive sub-national EV policy in the world, celebrated globally. Its central target was precise: 25% of all new vehicle registrations in Delhi to be electric by 2024. The policy ran on subsidies, incentives, purchase rebates. It asked people to go electric. The deadline came and went. As of financial year 2025 to 2026, EV account for 12.7% of vehicle sales in Delhi. Half the target after 5 years. The policy was extended once, then extended again, then allowed to expire in 2024. And here is the detail that exposes the structural failure most clearly. The 2020 policy set a target of 48,000 charging points by 2024. By the time it expired, only 10% of that target had been installed. They asked people to go electric. They didn't build the infrastructure to charge them. That is why the new policy sounds completely different. Incentives ask, mandates require. Delhi just switched languages. Delhi's EV policy 2026, effective July 1st, valid until March 31st, 2030. Let's go through what it actually mandates in sequence. January 1st, 2026, already in effect. No new petrol or diesel two-wheelers can be inducted into aggregator-based fleets. Ola, Uber, Swiggy, Zomato, their delivery and ride-hailing networks, electric only for new vehicles. January 1st, 2027, new auto rickshaw and three-wheeler goods vehicle registrations, electric only. April 1st, 2028, new two-wheeler registrations, electric only. And the target setting above all of this, 95% of all new vehicle registrations in Delhi to be electric by 2027. The government has committed 7,000 crore to make this happen. 3,000 crore for purchase and scrappage incentives, 1,000 crores
This
for
is as
charging
adoption
infrastructure.
grows, subventions are winding
Purchase
down.
incentives are structured to
This
reward
shift
early
will force
action.
firms to stand on their own.
Year
The
1.
era of heavy
Up to
government support
30,000
is
for
coming to an
electric
end.
two-wheelers, up to 50,000 for electric three-wheelers. Both taper every year until 2029. The policy is real. The deadlines are hard. The budget is committed. Now let's talk about the gap between what's been mandated and what currently exists on the ground.
Takes over. To build
Here's
a
the
perfect
central
system,
structural problem
must
with this
latch its
mandate.
pulse.
The policy requires Delhi's vehicle fleet to go electric. The charging network that fleet would depend on mostly doesn't work. In 2024, the Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis conducted a physical audit of public EV charging stations across South, Central, West, and East Delhi. Nearly 84% of the chargers examined were non functional. Not slow, not inconvenient, non functional. The two primary reasons: theft, connectors stripped, copper cables removed, and zero maintenance culture. Dead screens, no power supply, no one accountable. Delhi currently has approximately 9,000 public charging stations. The estimated requirement to serve a mandated electric fleet: 36,000 stations. The city has one quarter of what it needs. And this is before we account for the home charging problem. In Delhi's high density apartment blocks, the majority of where people actually live, installing home charger faces active opposition from residential welfare association. No clear binding codes, no designated authority to resolve disputes, no legal framework. The previous policy had a set target of 48,000 charging points. It achieved 10% of that target before expiring. The new policy targets 32,000 port charging points over the next 4 years. The mandate says April 2028. The infrastructure trajectory, based on the last 5 years of execution, does not reach April 2028. They have mandated the destination. They have not yet built the road. Let's be precise about what April 1st, 2028 actually means. From that date, no new petrol two-wheeler can be registered in Delhi. Not restricted, not taxed more heavily, not discouraged, banned. Two-wheelers are not a luxury segment in Delhi. They are the primary transport infrastructure for delivery riders, daily wage earners, commuters who cannot afford cars, and the 73% of the fleet that makes the city function. Commercial EVs are currently financed at 15 to 20% interest rate for individual borrowers. The same delivery riders and gig workers the fleet mandate already targets. The Gig Workers Association of India responded to the policy on the day it launched. A cleaner future cannot be built at the cost of workers' livelihood. That is a direct quote from July 1st, 2026. Their specific demands were interest-free loans, affordable battery swapping, and social protection measures for workers during the transition. The policy response to those demands: no financing support mechanism exists in the policy, no interest subvention, no credit guarantee, no worker protection clause. The policy mandates the transition. It does not fund the means for the most economically vulnerable participants to achieve it. April 2028 is 21 months away. The charger gap is 27,000 stations. The financing gap has no mechanism. That is the 2028 cliff. So let's state what is true precisely. The mandate is necessary. 17,000 deaths a year, 2.2 million children with permanently damaged lungs, an AQI that broke its own scale, a city that cannot even breathe its own winters. The 2020 incentive policy proved that asking people to go electric without requiring it produces only 12.7%, not 25%. The shift from incentives to mandates is the right structural move. But a mandate without infrastructure is not a policy, it is a deadline. The 2020 policy hit 10% of its charging infrastructure target. The 2026 policy has 21 months to close a gap of 27,000 charging stations, while also solving apartment building codes, while also creating a financing mechanism for 2 million delivery riders. These are solvable problems. Other cities have solved them, California, London, Shenzhen, but they require execution at a speed Delhi has never demonstrated in this sector.
Execution must accelerate.
What's the charging station rollout number? Not the press release, not the policy PDF, the actual stations installed per quarter. That number will tell you whether April 2028 is a mandate or a myth. The mandate is the easiest part. The infrastructure is the answer to whether it means anything.